All right, so today I want to talk about two things, kind of just in general my day today, and on top of that too, I want to do a review of the book Plain Song by Kent Haruf. So first is background. I am currently at Whitney Portal, and I'm spending the night here. I spent the night here last night. I didn't go to sleep with any pants on. I had a shirt, and despite that, with two blankets, I was freezing, kept waking up. So I've learned my lesson today. I'm going to wear some sweatpants. And wear a beanie as well to prevent that thermal loss. So anyhow, if you hear my teeth chattering, that is the reason why, as it is quite cold. And I'm inside a van right now. What is somewhat alarming, sorry, I just actually looked at my back windshield, but there's ice crystals forming on the inside, which is indicative of it being very cold outside. I don't know, it's not a hard freeze for sure, but that's frost. Yeah, so, wow. Sorry, this is kind of blowing my mind right now. It's on my other windows as well. I've been just not really noticing it. Okay. I'll get back to it, because, yeah, and then we'll warm up. So today, initially I wanted to walk across Death Valley, but I didn't, and I was kind of reconsidering it throughout the day. One is, it would just be me solo with a ton of water. If I got lost, there wouldn't really be any recourse. If I wait until the weekend, it'll be a lot better because there'll be a lot more traffic. If I get in trouble, I could hitchhike out. But regardless, I am going to go to Death Valley soon, and I just kind of want a chance to experience some silence and be introspective, ask myself some questions that I kind of want to have answered. So anyway, I was trying to go there today, parked at Whitney Portal last night, walked into town, started walking down, then I hitchhiked with a couple and the woman's mom. And the woman's mom grew up in California, but then spent 30 years in Colorado, and then has been in Pennsylvania for 15 years. And so was able to hitch a ride down with them. Really nice people. I don't recall what their names were. But they were from the town of Inyokern. And they're originally trying to go to Saracosa, Ghost Town, which is outside the boundaries of Death Valley, right outside of it. Looks beautiful, but apparently they got a flat tire and decided that it wouldn't be the best course of action to go somewhere that remote without a spare, especially with the woman's mother, who's pretty elderly. So I got a ride with them down, and essentially told them my plans. The woman said I was kind of like her husband's son, so they have, looks like they were married before, then split, then remarried themselves. And so she had a daughter who was 24, turning 25, and was a professional horse endurance racer. So she took her horses on the endurance races, usually around 100 miles. And they said that there is an ultramarathon where humans run against horses close to them, which is called the Ridgecrest race, and oftentimes humans win. And they said that the race was rigged against horses. So I'd have to look more into that. But anyhow, really neat people. They said that they're going to Las Vegas tomorrow for the some championship rodeo competition, and their mom is going to see that. And that if I'm in Death Valley, then they will be happy to give me a ride wherever I need to go in Death Valley. So that, I thought that was really nice. Anyhow, so I did that, and I walked to the Eastern Sierra Interpretive Agency Center in Lone Pine, which was a couple miles, and from that point, I filled my backpack, did that. There was actually an attractive woman at the front counter who kept making eye contact with me while she was talking to the customer. It was just like really noticeable. Like every time she'd look up, she'd look at me, and I'd like make eye contact, and then I didn't really talk to her. She had to go do other things. She had a short haircut. It was cute. But yeah, so I talked to a different lady at the front counter, and she told I had food in my vehicle that I left, and I was trying to find out if the bears were hibernating, and the food's in a canister, but she kind of chastised me, saying, "Oh, if you leave your food there, then yeah, bears are for sure going to break into your vehicle." So that got me pretty worried, and I decided to come back to Whitney Portal and deal with that. So as a result, I came back up. So my process of doing that was I walked a few miles till I got to Whitney Portal Road. At that point, I attempted to hitchhike. A couple of vehicles passed. It was odd too, because I feel like there's a lot of young guys that they all kind of like look the same, hat on, glasses, and most of them had beards. And they all drove these really nice Toyota vehicles, off-road, 4Runners or Tacomas. And every time I passed, or every time I had my thumb out, they'd kind of like look at me and they'd give me this encouragement, but they wouldn't give me a ride. And they usually had a number of empty seats. A kind man offered me a ride, but he was only going like a block up the road, so didn't catch a ride with him. Then another dude, had my thumb out, and he just made a gesture with his fingers about an inch apart from each other, and I had no idea what this guy meant by that. At first, my thing was, I thought he meant either slim chance that you're going to get a ride with me, is what that meant, or he was trying to say, like, little dick, or something like that. But then I realized, because I'm just like, oh, that's kind of rude. But then I realized he turned off at the development ahead of us, so he only had a short distance to go, so it wasn't worth him pulling over to give me a ride, pretty much 3 blocks in the direction to where I was going. So I'm like, oh, damn, it's a bummer. So keep hitching. A couple more cars pass. Then I get a hitch from a couple that has 2 dogs in the back. These 2 ginormous dogs, great looking, and really mild too, because I feel like a lot of times when they see an unfamiliar human, they start barking. So they saw me and they were fine with my presence. So I had put my stuff in the back, and the woman goes in the back, and I end up going in the passenger seat. Then we keep going up. They say they're from Irvine, and they split their time between Irvine, another location, and the other locale they spend time in, where they came from this day, was, it's on the border of California and Oregon. I forget the name. Maybe it starts with a B or a P. And we were just kind of talking about a few things, how beautiful Oregon is. The woman used to work in the tech industry, said she made a ton of money. They'd make like $150K a year, $180K, but they had no free time. Essentially, she just worked all the time, and that was the par for course in the tech industry. And as a result, she didn't want to have any children because of it, because she didn't want to come home, either pay someone to raise her child and instill the values in her child that she didn't agree with, or she didn't want to come home and then be stressed out with the kid. That wasn't the interaction she wanted to have with the child. So I was mostly talking with her, I feel, and her whole thing was, she kept saying that your generation really needs to change this. You gotta revert back to a more simpler way of life and kind of determine what's important. You can't keep consuming stuff like that. Really enjoyed talking with her. She asked if I voted, because the elections were recently. I told her, yeah, she didn't care who I voted for, as long as I did vote and exercise my democratic options. So I thought that was cool. Her husband is really neat, and again, I believe their names were Jim and Doris. And they were funny too, because they showed me a photo of a guy in Eastern Washington that they gave a hitch to. And they didn't recall his name, but it sounded like he was doing the PCT. And they were just baffled by that hike. They're going to Turtle Creek Campground in the Alabama Hills. They drove me all the way to the top. And the husband, I kept getting nervous by him. And when I say nervous, what I was kind of nervous about was the fact that as we were approaching my destination, he kept saying, he kept having this like sigh, but then that was followed by, oh, this is so beautiful. I kept thinking he's going to be like, oh, I'm driving all the way out here, kind of a deal, like irritated that he's taking me out this distance. And, my whole thing was drive me as far as you can. And they decide they take me all the way. And as they're driving up, he keeps sighing, but then every time I'm like, oh, dang, like, this is unfortunate, this kind of sucks, but he'd follow that up with, oh, this is so stunning, this is gorgeous. I can't believe how beautiful it is out here. So that was cool. And the woman was saying, oh, it's so cool picking up hitchhikers because we get to see these really stunning places we've never been to before. So I thought that was neat, and it seems like they've had really engaging and positive interactions with hitchhikers that they picked up before. They picked up a guy who yeah, again, the Eastern Sierra hitchhiker Eastern Washington hitchhiker. And he, yeah, I mean, super cool. Sorry, I'm like losing my mind. I just had to type in my code because my phone keeps freezing up. It's been reoccurring. Anyhow, I'll wrap this up. But yeah, so they took a photo of him, and the way they originally made it sound like was that this guy, he sounded a lot like my friend Anthony. I don't know if people who do really long through hikes fit a certain stereotype, but the way they explained it sounded like a friend of mine, and it wasn't. Totally different dude. They showed me photos of him, and that's how I was able to make the distinction that it was not my friend. Anyhow, also the time frame fit perfect too, like for my friend, and the time that they picked him up and gave him a hitch. But I mean, the world is vast, and yeah, so super cool individuals. Had a blast with them, and at the end, they were like, "Hey, can we take your picture?" So I posed out in front of these trees at Whitney Portal, and they took my photo, which I thought was cool. And I think that's kind of cool. Like, they'll show that to people later on and say, "Oh, we met this really interesting character from San Diego. His name was Jared," and yeah, we just had a really good conversation throughout the drive, and yeah, just really neat hearing wisdom from older individuals, and giving them, I guess, the youthful perspective on today's generation, if I could offer a little bit of that, or at least a subset of it. Yeah, so anyhow, that's that. And I'm going to do my book thing on another recording, just because this has gone a little bit longer than I anticipated. Actually, quite a bit longer than I anticipated. So peace.